All right, everyone, welcome to the CTC 115 Quality Control course. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. If you're a returning face to the chemical technology program, you're probably looking at this thinking, okay, I've got this. I've already went through 114 or maybe a different class in our program already, and I know what he's going to do, and I know how the lab is going to be set up, and I know how the lectures are going to be set up. And, I'm here to tell you, yes, absolutely, it is going to be very similar in feel that you have experienced already in other CTC courses. But, CTC 115, it's also an entry point for new faces. And if you're new, welcome to the program. We are more than welcome to torture you throughout this semester, and we hope that we will. No, I'm just kind of kidding. Of course, we welcome you to the program. We welcome you to the fold. You're probably going to be in a room full of other faces that have already been through a semester together, or maybe a little bit longer. And we just, want you to feel at home. And that's kind of the purpose of 115. And that's how we're going to start the semester out. So for those of you that have taken CTC 114 already, you're going to see some very similar things that's going to show up on the lab side of the house. And the reason for that is because we think that these things are so important that it does you good to repeat some of these beginning laboratory experiments that you did in 114. And then at the same time, by forcing you to repeat them, we're actually introducing it for the very first time for the new faces that are joining the crowd. So it really defeats two purposes, or it tackles or it completes those two purposes. And we've always kind of set up the 115 and the 114 to mirror each other in the few beginning weeks of the semester. So enough about the labs. This is going to be like formal lecture, I guess, in a way, if you want to call it formal. It's going to be formal lecture of the 115 course, and what we should be expecting in the 115 class as we go a little bit further. So the first thing that I always get is like, what's the definition of quality control, Tracy? Okay, well, quality control is abbreviated with a QC. And I need you to understand that QC is not the same as QA. QA is quality assurance, and then QC is quality control. Now, in some companies, these two areas are completely different from each other. They are separate teams, they're in separate locations, they have separate goals and purposes, and that's what they focus on. And then in other companies, they actually group the QA and the QC people together under the same roof, and they work together a little bit more. They see each other a little bit more. It's just really a design choice for those particular laboratory companies on how they want to manage the QA and the QC departments. But they are not the same, meaning that QA and QC is not defined as the same way. And we're going to clear this up a little bit later in the course, a little bit later in the semester. But right now, quality control is in the name of the class, and we should be talking about QC types of perspectives here, and that's really where our focus is going to play. So what's quality control? Okay, well, here we go. So over on the left-hand side, over here, image number 1, here's a little man in a suit with his little poofy hair, and he's looking at a door, and it says quality manager, and then I think it's very easy for you to pick out a mistake, right? We are looking at the name quality, and you're going to be like, Trace, that name's spelled wrong. That word is not quality, Kwality. It should be a QU. Oh, well, that is a mistake, and you have just found a mistake, and you need to report that mistake, and someone needs to know about that word that is misspelled on that door, so that way the company can fix it. Hello, that's quality control! Go figure! And it says the company just didn't see the need for a quality manager. Oh, no, I hope not. I hope there's no local labs in town that are this way. I mean, I'm not not saying that there is, but there maybe could be. I hope not, but there is. Well, there could be. Okay, you get the drift. So this is quality control at its heart. It's all about this idea that we are here to make sure that things are in place and things are done the right way, and that these materials or that these products that are given to us are going to be quality or uphold the company standards or regulatory standards that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Number two, very similar. Here we go, quality control. Another guy in a little suit with a little poofy hair. I don't know what kind of briefcase this is, but he's carrying something that looks kind of important, and he's looking at the name, and it says quality control, and you're looking at that and saying, well, oh, okay, I see right in here. That's the word that's spelled wrong. So again, we get a misspelling. That is a issue of quality. Are we looking at details? That is what this is all about. And in some cases, as we're working in the laboratory, you're going to find mistakes, and these mistakes are going to be very obvious. It is very quick to figure out, oh my God, who spells quality that way, right? And then on the other side of the house, we're going to be doing tests, and we're going to be performing these things, and we're going to be reporting these values. And sometimes these mistakes are going to be a little bit harder to catch. It will take a little bit more effort. We got to slow down. We got to look at data a little more carefully. And then we'll see, yes, there is a misspelling error in that diagram as well. And because of that, I have caught it. I will report it, and we will fix it. That's kind of somewhat the idea of quality control here. So these mistakes that will happen in real life, again, some of them are very obvious, while others are going to be a little bit harder to catch. But it is our job to really catch all mistakes, no matter how difficult it might be seen or not. Okay, here's another one. Fail. Okay, you've seen these memes all over the place. You had one job to do. All right, quality. I'll fill the bag with a bunch of air. I'll fill the bag with a bunch of air. And then I'll fill the bag with a whole bunch of air. Okay, well, it probably seems like chips come that way anyway with bag number 3 when you go to the grocery store. But we see an issue, and visually we can see a problem. And the problem is something has went wacky. Someone in the manufacturing line, someone at the company did not fill that bag to the proper mass or volume that it should be filled with. So someone didn't catch it, and this bag got into the box, shipped out to a grocery store, and then ta-da! There we go. There's a quality issue that we see. That's a problem. We do not want that to happen. Do you think somebody's going to buy that bag when they've got the other 2 choices on the left? Absolutely not. Here's another fail. You had one job to do. What is that job? Well, you stack some Oreo cookies into a bag, and you seal it shut, and you send it out to shipping and receiving. All right, well, here's the problem with this one. It might not actually be a problem, but I don't get a single stack Oreo. I don't get a double stack Oreo. I get a multi-stack Oreo, and you might be celebrating and rejoicing right now. There's probably people out there that will pay good money for that type of Oreo cookie, but this is quality control. So sometimes falling asleep on the job, as the thing says, results in awesomeness because, okay, yeah, it is a quality issue. We should have fixed this. We should have caught it before it was sent out to the consumer. But, in this particular case, I don't think anyone's going to necessarily complain about it. Now, you probably will get some of those Karens or Kennies or whatever they call the male versions out there that's going to complain and gripe and moan and meow, 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 meow. I mean, that's going to be a thing. But you just ignore it. I mean, come on now. We're going to do our job. We're going to do our job the right way. And sometimes these mistakes are going to happen. But we're going to try to catch as most of them or as many of them as we can. Next up, quality control. Okay, well, all right. I get what's happened. Okay, well, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It looks like this thing should have a chocolate top, but instead of a chocolate top, it now has a chocolate bottom. Some of you might actually prefer that product, and maybe this mistake will lead the company into being like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a product that we didn't think about. Now we get a whole nother product line out there that we can manufacture and sell and make even more money. So again, sometimes these types of mistakes are not an issue. But we cannot have these types of mistakes in regular laboratory work, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, in the food industry. We've got to be really, really careful with the types of tests that we do, the types of data that we report, and making sure that things are in line with company standards and company policies. That's what this is all about, and that's why we are employed to do this type of laboratory work. So this semester, as you can kind of get the feel, oh, you had one job, you had one job, you had one job. Well, you also had one job. I don't think that looks like onions to me. Does it to you? If so, then we went to different schools. But we get a bag, and the bag says onions, and there's corn cobs on the inside. I mean, come on, folks. This is another mistake. That mistake should have been caught. That mistake should have been reported. That mistake should never reach the consumer. That's what this is all about. So quality has to be in place, and it's someone's job to make sure that these types of mistakes do not happen. Now, I know that these types of things are like fun and games and that kind of stuff, but sometimes these mistakes, people's lives depend on it, especially if it's medication related. Would you want a container of, let's say, some type of prescription bottle that's got the wrong tablet or capsule on the inside? So when your pharmacist gives it to you, there's a chance that that is not what that tablet is supposed to be, and you take it. I mean, that could send you to the hospital. That can make some complications. We do not want these types of issues to happen. So this is an idea that packaging can also be an issue. Packaging is also part of quality control, right? So here's a bag. That bag says onions, but we know there's no onions in it. And, just a handful of years ago, people were going to the Dollar Tree to buy pretty cheap medication, something simple like aspirin or acetaminophen. And what they were realizing is that those particular types of tablets were not in that bottle. There was some medication mix-up, and wrong tablets went into a bottle that was labeled improperly, and then it was sold to consumers, and they had to do a recall of it. That is a packaging and a labeling problem. That is also quality control. We want to make sure we can fix these mistakes when it happen. You have one job to do. Hello, foul. Okay, come on, folks. Give me a break. That does not look like a green bean to me. Does it look like a green bean to you? Absolutely not. If so, then again, we went to different schools. So here we have another packaging. Here we have another labeling problem. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the corn on the inside. It's the way that it's packaged, and it's the way that it's sold to the consumer. That is an issue. You had one job to do. Well, first off, I would love to be the person to give a little kid one of these Barbie dolls that has the Quasimodo eyes. I mean, I would love that. I would love to hear and rejoice in the screams that would happen when they would open up that little toy on Christmas Day, maybe, and they would look at it, and then the very first thing I hear is, I mean, I would love that, right? Okay, so there's a quality control issue. I don't think that toy companies would want to sell product that looks like that. So somebody's job was to catch it. Somebody's job was to prevent that from reaching the consumer market. Look down here in the bottom below Quasimodo Barbie. You're going to see, okay, bottle good. Oh, a little bit lower. Oh, a little bit lower. Oh, a little bit lower. We start to see things going out of specification or something, right? So we start to see this bottling, and there's something calibration-wise that's not really kind of working out the proper way. For some reason, as we're filling these bottles up, we're getting less and less and less and less, and visually I can kind of see that on the shelf. Okay, well, there's a quality control issue at play. What's going on? Is it the person? Is it the equipment? Is it a product labeling problem? Now you start to see the breadth of quality control. It's not just the ingredient or the actual product that we're testing, but we want to make sure that we are looking quality on all aspects of that particular types of product. Over here to the left-hand side, as you can imagine, that is not a hot dog bun. That does not look like a hot dog bun to me, nor should it look like a hot dog bun to you. Somebody has put hamburgers in hot dog buns. So if that's the case, then hello, here is some hamburger buns, but they're not really hamburger buns, they're hot dog buns. So hot dog buns in hamburger bags, and then hamburger buns in hot dog bags. Okay, you get the picture. You got one job to do. What you gonna do? And then over here on the right-hand side, this is pink lemonade. Okay, I can fly with that. This is not pink lemonade. There's no pink in it. It's just lemonade. So again, we get a quality issue. Is it really supposed to be lemonade on that bottle and it's been mislabeled? Or is it really supposed to be pink lemonade, but pink lemonade did not make it into the bottle? There's a couple of different choices here. We got to figure out who made the mistake, what was going on, why was the mistake happen, and how can we prevent these mistakes in the future? That's quality control and a little bit of quality assurance as well. More fails over here to the left-hand side. Valentine's Day's probably coming up. You know the problem. You had one job to do. You've seen this your whole life. These words and all of these sayings, you can't hardly read them. They're halfway off the heart. It doesn't make any sense at all. You get random little words or letters on the hearts, and before you know it, these things turn into horror stories instead of Valentine's Day stories. So all of these issues is quality control. We need to make the product better. We need to make sure that you can read them. We need to make sure the words actually get printed on them and not fall off. Over here on the right-hand side, I don't think this is a quality control. I think that Totino's will actually produce pizza this way on purpose. That's kind of what they're after there. So here you see a pizza with 3 pepperonis. Okay, 3, give me a break, Totino's. Come on now. I know good and well you can put more than 3 on there, but again, was it supposed to be 3? I wouldn't put it past them. If not, this is a quality issue. Here's another one. Oh God, I hope this never happens to me in real life, but here we see frozen vegetables and there's a frozen frog on the inside, and then here we see some spinach and there's a nice little maybe frog that's hanging out in spinach, having all the greatest time of his life. I mean, that could be a thing, right? This is quality control. I don't think that you'd be very happy with either one of these situations and the quality of the product on the inside if you saw this type of thing happen with you. I think you would immediately return it and go back to the grocery store. Here's a quality control issue. Dale's Pale Ale. And, okay, on the bottom, it says, "Get in my belly." Okay, I don't think that's the quality issue. But what the quality issue is here, canned on 02/11/13814.00. Well, they probably need to make that a little clearer because I don't think there is a year of 2013 and 814. That doesn't make any sense, right? So they probably need to make it very clear or make it a little more evident what that number is supposed to represent. I think that we can interpret this as, oh, okay, that's probably a date, and that date is 2013, maybe. And then after that date, I see a number that looks somewhat like a time. So is it really a time or is it something different? That's something that we just don't quite know. So all of the expiration dates and all of that type of stuff should match up on the product labels as well, especially if they do have expiration dates that they've got to go by. Okay, mistake after mistake. Look here. Yo, team, I heard you like quality control. So I quality controlled your quality control so we can control our quality while we quality control. Believe it or not, that could be a thing in real life. I mean, we are just now talking about quality control, and quality control being a group of people, I hope people, not just all of it on the shoulders of one person, but depending on the size of the company, it could be. But that group has to do a job, and that job needs to be checking the quality of the products or the ingredients, whatever the case might be, before it leaves the company or before it gets used in some form or fashion. So the question is, who checks that group? Are we just assuming that they know all? Are we assuming that they are perfect? Are we assuming that they are going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing and everything is totally correct when they do it the very first time? Maybe not. And that's kind of what this meme goes toward, the idea of. It's like, okay, you've got a quality control group and they're doing the testing, but who's double checking the quality people to make sure that they are actually doing their job the proper way? So we need to quality control the quality control group in a way, right? Well, again, we'll get into this a little bit throughout the semester because that is the purpose of the class. So the overall idea of quality control is we need to ensure that the product is what it should be. And that is the key word, right? So if I use what we call a raw ingredient in a laboratory environment, well, we're going to have to double check this, and we're going to have to make sure that it is that ingredient that is ordered. It is that ingredient that's in that green bean can. It is that ingredient that's in the onion bag. We have to double check all of these, and we cannot make assumptions. So that is part of quality control. And then the product is also referring to what we would call maybe a finished product. So if I was working in a manufacturing line, whether that's pharma, whether that's food or somewhere else, and they are making some type of product from these raw ingredients, well, that final product is going to have, that we call the finished product, will also have to be checked. So there's a series of steps that we've got to go through, and we have to just make sure it is what it is, it says what it says. Absolutely, we feel really good about the quality of this product before it's released and before it is sold to consumers. Just like we've talked about before, labeling is also a process here. We want to make sure that things are testing the proper way, but we also want to make sure that packaging is the proper way as well. Next up are lot numbers. So lot numbers are a great way to really kind of track down and map out where these products have started and where do they end up. So a lot of times you will find date stamps, you will find time stamps that are embedded into the lot numbers, and on the product it will sometimes say lot number blah 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 blah. Very often in a laboratory we are required to record these lot numbers for that reason, because this batch was tested on a particular date at a particular time, or made at a particular date and a particular time. And we want to make sure that we can kind of keep tracking purposes in play. So we assign it a lot number or a batch number. And then what we do is that if we find problems, everything that was made with that particular batch or that particular lot, everything that was made can also get pulled back, or it can be prevented to be sold to consumers, or we can recall it because we have now found a mistake, and we need to make sure that that mistake is not happening in every single sample that was released. So lot numbers or these batch numbers, very, very important things to record throughout the entire time while you're in a laboratory. So all of these things, not all of these, but these contribute to some of the things that allow us to do our job correctly. But we also want to make sure that we follow certain things in place, and we want to make sure that we follow standard operating procedures. And standard operating procedures is abbreviated as SOP. And you'll learn a little bit more about standard operating procedures a little bit later in the course. So I think this maybe hopefully drives home the idea of a quality control or a quality system that these companies have to make sure that they have in place as they perform the testing, as they produce a product. Someone is there checking everything that is done. So the quality system, if you kind of look at all of the little spiderweb fingers that it kind of involves itself with, it is involved in the manufacturing. So if the company is manufacturing anything at all, then absolutely quality control is going to look at that, making sure it's manufactured the right way. Quality is also going to reach out and it's going to affect equipment. So any type of equipment that could be balances, it could be very high-end, sophisticated analytical types of equipment that are, multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars. Quality's got to be in place with those too, meaning that if I put something on a balance and I record that number, how can I trust that number? How do I know that the balance is doing that particular job that it was meant and built to do? So quality's got to be in place. Someone's got to double check all of that. Lab synthesis and control systems. Of course, if we're in the lab and we're making something, we're producing something, we're mixing, we're blending, whatever the case that is. Raw material is also a part of quality control. Raw materials would be, these are the ingredients that we're going to be using to maybe make our cake with. And we want to make sure that these raw ingredients or these raw materials actually are good. I don't want my eggs expired. I don't want my milk or my butter to be rancid. So let's check these before we use them in the recipe, because if these are bad, then my product's going to be bad as well. And then finally, like we've talked about before, packaging and labeling. So there's got to be some quality issues there. What type of box do they go in? Is it labeled the correct way? What information is on the label? All of that is part of quality control or a quality system at a company. Finally, when you go to work, and let's say you don't work with quality control, but you do work with quality control in the aspect of you're providing them data, I know that people are going to cringe. And when they see quality people walking down the hallway with their little clipboard, they're going to go, oh God, here he comes again. Or, oh God, here she comes again. Why is she going to gripe and moan and complain about this time? Well, they have a very important job. And if they did not do their job the proper way, the company could not produce a product that could be sold, or the company could not release something that could be sold, and or generate data that they can gain money from their clients. So if it wasn't for the QC department, there would be no money that could be made at the company. And if there's no money to be made at the company, then that means there's no paycheck for you to take to the bank. So QC has a very important job. Don't moan, don't grimace, don't scowl when you see them coming harping about your lab data, because they are doing their job, and their job is to make sure that the company as a whole is doing things the proper way, so that way you can continue to get paid doing what you're doing. So when QC fails and you have to do everything over again, that is a thing. And you could be thinking what these little micro pipette tips are spelling out. And if that's so, then okay, I'm not saying that I've never done it, because I've had these types of reactions too. Oh my God, I've got to do it all over again. What? Are you kidding me? Well, no, I'm not kidding, because your lab data did not work out the proper way, and we got to figure out what went wrong. So there will be a plan in place for you to go back and repeat and retest, and then there's certain protocols that have to be checked off throughout this process. So don't feel like they're picking on you, but at the same time, make sure that you do your job really well, and make sure that you follow proper SOPs, and make sure that you feel really good about the laboratory data that you generate. Because if you do not, then you will begin to get a very bad reputation with the quality control department, and that bad reputation could lead to you getting no paycheck, because they know that you're not generating data and you don't know what you're doing and you can't follow proper lab procedures, so why keep you around? That's the thing, that's the issue. So we take pride in our work. We want to make sure that our work is as legitimate as possible. So when we hand it off to the quality control departments, then they are going to be like, oh my gosh, you are the best worker ever. You need a raise. Check, 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 check. And then off we go, right? That's the whole thing. That's the issue with quality control. If I'm working in the quality control department, my job is a little different. My job is to make sure those numbers are matching. They are as expected as what they should be. I touch base with the lab employees if they're not generating data the proper way. I'm making samples so that way these unknown samples are given to our employees, and we're just having another layer of self-check that's going to be here. I mean, quality control really does a number of different things, but they do double check people's work. And this is the idea of quality control. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of, I would say, intro knowledge get your feet wet type of lecture blurb about what this class is going to be about, how this class is going to be designed, and it's all about quality. So we're going to see quality a number of different ways throughout the semester in the lab experiments that we provide you. And I will say that a large portion of this course is pharma based. And that's because this is everywhere in pharma. And we don't really have another class that we do a lot of pharma on. So this was a perfect type of scenario, a perfect type of carriage that we could carry this information to you in. So with that said, I hope that you enjoy the quality control laboratory course. This is not meant to be difficult, but it is meant to be pay attention to the details. And I think that's what drives people crazy most of the time. But as long as you're patient, as long as you're crossing your T's and you're dotting your I's, you'll be perfectly fine in this class. Even if you've not had another class with us before, you'll be perfectly fine, I promise. If you need help, reach out. You know where we are, whether that's in lecture, whether that's in the lab environment. We are here for you. That is why we get paid. So especially if you're a new person, don't feel intimidated because everyone else is blazing through the procedures and you're just on line procedure number 1. That is not an issue at all. It happens all the time. Those are people that have already had us. Those are people that maybe already know how to use a balance. And maybe this is your first time using one of them. And if so, that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why you're taking the class. So I hope that you enjoy the course. This is the idea of QC, and we'll expand on it more and more and more throughout the weeks that we're going to be spending together.